Cydni Polk. I serve as a senior manager of community life with the Community Builders, and I am responsible for all of the community life sites on the south side. So Oakwood Shores, Merrill Court, Cornerstone, it's about 5 sites that range from the South Shore community to the Bronzeville community. I'm honored to lead a team that works intimately with the residents to bring programs, from asset building, technology, education, as well as things like housing stabilization. So that's what we do every day. I've been with the organization 11 years. The first thing, the pandemic kind of pulled the veil off of a lot of systems that we were used to, right? So it completely removed the way that what we knew community engagement to be. So what we knew was to bring everybody together, be it at our, building that you've been at, the Oakwood Center or other spaces, because we are a place-based model. In those processes, we'll be able to make connections with residents and they'll be able to make connections with each other. And so the pandemic swiftly removed that from us, right? And so it tested our muscle in respect to how we engage with residents and how we were able to connect with residents. And it also quickly identified the deficits that we had and the barriers. And of course, technology was the first one, right? And so the first thing that we did, and actually, Oakwood Shores is a little bit ahead of the curve than other sites nationally on this, but we tried to find a way to plan to connect with every household individually. This was kind of coincided with a process that we already have going on, the Community Life Questionnaire, which gauges, information from residents annually, how they feel about the community, how they feel about the buildings that they live in, their sense of safety, as well as access to technology, if they're employed and have access to doctors. And so we reached out to every household individually first to ask those questions, right? So ask, what are your immediate needs? Was it a need for PPE supplies? Were you having food insecurity in the home? Were your jobs at risk? How were young people doing in this? So we reached out about immediate needs, and we prioritize our most vulnerable populations, and so senior households and youth households. We reached out to everyone based upon what they said that they needed should be. One household may say, I'm unable to get my laptop from my child's school. Another one may say, I don't have food. Another one didn't have PPE. We individually partnered with organizations and used the budget that we were able to tap into to get those people those individual things. Because if you don't have basic needs met, it's no programming that you're going to be interested in. So by the time I get you on the phone, if you have children running around, you have one laptop, it's no food, you could care less about a book club. Introduced our first virtual program was a dance program. And so we partnered with an organization, Creative Eye Arts. And so we started to offer like cultural dance programs for young people. Then we also shifted our neighborhood meeting that had been a historical construct at Oakwood. Residents would come together once a month and just, we would have an agenda. It would be somebody from our department, community life, as well as property management, and residents could ask questions. And so we shifted that to a virtual model as well. Though those were our first things that we did. We've done FAFSA workshops with technology. We've done cooking demonstrations. We would do things like a virtual, we did like a virtual paint party one time, or we did a contest for families to set up their workspaces. So young people had the science fair boards and they would set it up and made like little cubicles for them to do virtual learning in. And it was a learning curve. So we had to initially reach out to the residents, see what information that they had. And then oftentimes residents need reminders. So imagine, you got a program set, you've done the marketing for it. I put it on places like Facebook and social media and Nextdoor, but what if residents don't have technology? They won't see that. We're used to passing out flyers. So, making sure that we outreach in a various amount of ways, but I still needed to keep my staff safe. So you had a combination of the seniors who would like paper flyers, making sure that we door to door gave them those. Text blasts, down my calls is a way that we had to outreach to residents, and those that were on emails. And then again, after residents demonstrate interest, we need to do a follow-up call before. And even then, it's some who will not participate. We understand that life happens, but I always say you have to identify what success is. sometimes success may be 3 young people on a dance class, right? The fact that those young people had something positive to do between the 3 to 6 hours is successful in the work that we do. And also, as social distancing mandates kind of relaxed a little bit, we were able to like broadcast a virtual program, but in like a senior space. So that they're able to socially distance, but they were able to see it on one big screen, which kind of mitigated some of the confusion. And we also used a portion of our budget and bought 50 tablets for specifically for seniors to be able to access those programs too. So it ebbed and flowed, but it was something that the residents really appreciated. It was some version of normalcy for them in a very challenging time for us all. And we were able to do some good work during that time as well. And technology provided individuals who it could be a variety of reasons you cannot participate in programming. It could be scheduling, it can be mobility issues, it could be it could be transportation. Even though we're all at one site, Oakwood Shores spans across 100 acres. So if you're a senior resident furthest east on the property, coming to the Oakwood Center for a program without a card, that's a barrier. That's a challenge, And so technology just kind of removes those barriers. Also, like I said, the neighborhood program, the neighborhood meeting that we had, everybody needed information. We were all afraid. We were all afraid. To be honest, I was afraid at the helm of it all. But I know that providing information and providing what the community was doing, what the state was doing, that because this pandemic happened, we were not disappearing. It may look a little bit different, but we are here. And this is how you can access us. We would not have been able to do that with technology. And like I said, it becomes one of those things where it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And I think that the pandemic really highlighted that for us. The dance, it challenged us to kind of expand programming. The pandemic didn't provide an excuse for us. It was a great time to be lazy, to say, oh, we can't do it. We can't do it. We can't get with the residents. But I think it just challenged us. And I think it positioned us as some leaders in the field that were definitely, if anybody questioned before our commitment to engagement and improving quality of life, I don't think they could question it after the work we did in the pandemic. We don't need to go back as business as usual. It needs to be a hybrid approach because honestly, some of our approaches prior to the pandemic were antiquated. Why were we doing it this way? Why were we passing out 1 million flyers in the first place? When it should be a way to, quickly disseminate information that's more efficient. And the pandemic forced us to do that. So I refuse to go all the way back to just strictly in-person programming. Because like I said, virtual programming provided a level of access that we did not have before. It forced us on our end to commit to supporting technology in a way, to submit, to ensure that we were, even on this back end, we've been working on making sure that our computer lab, it's not a modern computer lab, but it will serve its purpose on the basic level, right? So residents who may need to surf the web for jobs, young people who may need to look up research projects, it forced us to make sure that that was up to par and, to get us to where we are right now. Technology in an equitable way. It may be resources out there, but if it's not an equitable bridge to get you there, the resources they shouldn't even be there. It's just it becomes a gap as opposed to it being a bridge. So I think that's the biggest thing that, everyone kind of can get in any way. We're able to just increase equitable conditions and technology. Like I said, in this day and age, it's a necessity. It's not an option. It's not an option, at all for them. They need to have access to information. They need to find ways to be more efficient